I'm going to be completely honest. I don't care about this set. I think this one looks the worst out of all four of them. I got this set just for the figures, and I will most likely take this thing apart in a few days. But then that was before I built the set. And then after I finished the set, or not even while I was building the set, I was like, whoa, I actually like this? I was totally expecting just to not care about the set, to take it apart for pieces. But you know what? I think this is my favorite. I actually really like this. Now again, I don't have Sora's yet. I only have Kai's and Cole's. Well, had Cole's. I still have Kai's, but I took apart Cole's. But I did have Cole's built, just not anymore. Okay, but now getting one of the biggest things about the set out of the way, the color scheme. This set uses a fair amount of dark red, which is a color that Lloyd has never used before. A color that Lloyd has never used before. But you know what? I don't think it looks bad. I actually kind of like it here. I think it makes this mech look very unique with the red. I think it goes with the green, and it doesn't make it look like a Christmas mech. And I think it looks quite cool with the dark red. I quite like it, actually. But another thing that this mech has, is the whole samurai thing, with mainly this helmet here, looking very much like a samurai helmet, as well as just him like having two swords here, I guess. So, with the whole samurai theme going on and the use of dark red, I think that this was originally meant to be a Nia set. Like, Nia comes in the set. Nia comes in the set. This mech uses dark red, which is one of her colors, and it's samurai theme, which Nia used to be a samurai. So, I think this was designed to be a Nia mech, just they swapped out the blue for green and made it a Lloyd mech. Probably because they thought it would sell better. To be fair, it probably would sell better. But if it was a Nia mech, for the mech, not for the figures. Well, I would buy it for the set and figures, not just the figures if it was a Nia mech. That would have been so cool to finally get our first ever Nia Ninja mech outside of the movie. Alright, this mech also seems taller than all the rest because I had to really raise my phone up quite a bit to fit this in frame. Well, okay, it's still not in frame, but to get this to a reasonable height, so it's not just like this. I have my phone stand here sat on a couple of books. This is so. Okay, now taking a look at some articulation. This is pretty much just the same on all the mechs, but he does have shoulder articulation, which isn't limited at all because he doesn't really have any shoulder pads. Not that Kai's was, not like Kai's is limited or anything, since he does have shoulder pads. But Kai's weren't that limited since they were on a hinge, so they could move with the arm. But these don't have a shoulder pad, so they are a bit more free than Kai's. And the reason I'm only mentioning Kai's is because Sora's also doesn't have shoulder pads, and Cole's shoulder pads very much limit the articulation. They still use the SCCBS limb pieces here, except I have to say that this is probably the worst use of them here on the arms. It just feels so unnatural. It's all bulked up here on the shoulder and then on the wrist, but in the elbow in the middle. It's just flat. I'm not a huge fan of that. I keep moving this freaking background. He has ball joints at the waist here, which again, no shoulder pads, so they're not that limited, and they're not all like built up. Like see here how there's a bunch of stuff coming up around the ball joint. This doesn't limit the articulation too much. Like, you can still get a really nice amount of articulation out of this, but it does limit it a little bit. But this mech doesn't have any of that, so it's not really limited at all. Here. Again, the STCBS Slim, so no knees. And then these feet are really weird and by far my least favorite part of the mech. You can see the ball joint is sticking out the back instead of just down. Like, see, here's Kai's again. See how this ball socket is just coming down, not like sticking out back. I also noticed that Lloyd's here, the ball joint itself is connected to the leg, and then the ball socket is on the foot, while Kai's the other way around. The ball socket is on the leg, and the ball joint is on the foot. Which I do prefer how Lloyd's mech does it, because Kai's mech here does kind of limit articulation, since you can't really like move it forward at all. But actually, Lloyd's you can't move forward at all, since how this is placed, you can't move it forward at all. Which, I don't know. I don't think this is like a bad way. It makes the mech unique with how these feet are attached. It definitely makes it unique. But I just don't think it's very good. Like, I'm not sure. Like, the way these feet are connected, it doesn't limit the articulation that much, other than the feet not being able to go forward. Not being able to go forward at all. But it still just kind of looks awkward. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I'll definitely be modifying this after I'm done with this review. The only reason I haven't modified this yet is because I wanted to make this review. Okay, while I have the camera this low, I want to talk about the feet as well. I love this foot design. This is such a good foot design. I love how this is built. I love this design. It looks so good. I really love this foot design. It looks so good. Like, this is genuinely amazing. Like, wow. These are some really good feet. Okay, and lastly, for articulation, like all the other mechs, he does have waist articulation, a full 360 range, and this waist articulation is pretty nice. But he also still has the same fatal flaw that all the other elemental mechs have, which is no wrist articulation. This guy still doesn't have wrist articulation. But do you want to know what he does have? Thumbs. He has thumbs. Yes, he has thumbs. None of the other mechs have thumbs. This makes the mech look so much better. Like, he looks so good with thumbs. He looks so good with thumbs. Yes, more mechs need to have thumbs. But you know what? The wrist articulation doesn't actually bother me as much on this mech as it does on, say, Kai's mech. Now, I think the reason I disliked the lack of wrist articulation on Kai's and Cole's mech so much is because they both had these giant, oversized weapons And it felt like these mechs were just not made to hold these weapons. Since their articulation, they could barely move their arms. Okay, I shouldn't say barely, but their arm articulation wasn't that good, especially Cole's. So it felt like you really couldn't use these weapons, and it just felt like they didn't fit with these mechs. Just because they're so big, and you can't get a whole lot of articulation out of these arms. Now, the waist articulation does help a little, but it's still just not the best. But Lloyd here, Lloyd, his weapons aren't that big. He has normal sized swords. He doesn't. He does not have oversized weapons. His swords are fairly normal sized, which makes the wrist articulation not matter as much, since I can feel like I can still get plenty of good poses out of this mech, even without wrist articulation, because the weapons are in scale with the mech. And then one other thing is that the only SCCBS pieces that this guy uses are the cockpit piece and the piece on the helmet here. Those are the only two. The pieces he uses on the armor pieces that he uses on his arms and legs are the Master of the Mountain pieces. And okay, one thing that really annoys me is that so we know in this set, Lloyd doesn't come with his armor, but Nia does. And that's presumably because he wouldn't be able to fit in the mech with the armor. So they didn't include the armor so you could fit him in the mech. But you can fit him in the mech with his armor perfectly fine. You can fit him in this mech perfectly fine with the armor. So why didn't they include armor? Why did they not include armor? That is so stupid. There is zero reason why they didn't include armor for Lloyd. It doesn't make any sense. He fits in perfectly fine with the armor. And one other thing, the back here, it looks just about the same as all the others. They're not very pretty, but these mechs are pretty cheap, so I don't mind it too much. Okay, starting off with Lloyd here. I love this figure. I think this figure is absolutely amazing. He is so fantastic. This is my third favorite mech pilot suit, just being behind Cole and Zane. This is a really fantastic minifigure. This is the second ever Lloyd suit to use bright green or spring green as the main color. And I love it so much. I love how it contrasts with the dark green. And then the little bits of lime on him are also fantastic. Combined with the gold, since this suit uses a lot more gold than the Season 1 suit used. And I think the gold looks fantastic here. And I love the armored look, especially on the legs. I love the legs from this wave. I love all the ninjas' leg printing. These guys look really cool. And again, I love how armored this is. I love how armored it looks. It looks so amazing. It looks so amazing. And then there's his name written in jargon. This figure looks so amazing. I love how the bright green contrasts with the dark green. These guys look so amazing. And next up here is Nia, who pretty much everything I like about her, I've already said with Lloyd. Except I don't like this figure as much as I like Lloyd. This is probably my second least favorite mech pilot suit. The only one being worse is probably Jay's. But I'm not saying this figure is bad. It's not bad at all. I love this figure. And I love that they brought the dark red back. I think it looks great with the blue and gunmetal. Again, that leg printing, phenomenal. One thing I forgot to mention with Lloyd is that they all have their initials here. And I think the placement of their initials looks a lot better here than they do on the Season 1 suits. Not that they look bad on Season 1 suits. Just the placement is just a bit random. Like, they're just slapped on the torso. But I think here they kind of fit in with the overall design more. They feel like they're meant to be here, while these just kind of feel like they're slapped on. Again, not saying that these are bad, I just prefer how Season 2 does it. Now, I do think I prefer the colors of the mask over Lloyd's. I think that looks great. And I think Nia suit, this Season 2 Nia suit is so much better than her other Season 2 suit, her climber suit, which I will hopefully review one day, since it is exclusive to a $120 set. So hopefully I'll be able to get it. Yeah, look at that back torso print. Not as good as Lloyd's, but still amazing. These suits are amazing. And now, last and probably least is Cinder. But I'm not saying this is a bad figure. This is not a bad figure at all. Just compared to Lloyd Nia, he's my least favorite figure that comes in the set. But this guy is amazing, and especially after seeing him in the show, Cinder's awesome. These figures are amazing. I love all the designs of the Wolf Mask Warriors. I think they're some of the best designed villains in the whole show. I believe this is a Joker hairpiece recolored in gray. He shares the same torso and fur piece as Jordana. And then his head is actually, I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually transparent. But yeah, first I'll show you back torso print. Here's his back torso print. It's pretty simple. Not nearly as good as the front torso print, but it does still work. And you see his back face print. It's like that his smoke is like covering up his mouth, which I don't think we ever saw in the show. I would have much preferred if this was like a smirking face, or just like a face where he had like a confident grin on his face. I think that would have been a lot better. But this face print does work. This face print does work, but I don't really think it fits Cinder's personality all that well. But it does work. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but his head is transparent. It is transparent. I don't think you can really see that all that well, though. Yeah, see, you can kind of see the peg there that his head goes onto. You can kind of see that. Okay, this video is getting way too long. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Those are my thoughts. I think I'll give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. This is a really great set. I am shocked at how much I like it. This is a great set. This is the cheapest way to get any of the figures who come in this set. This is the cheapest way to get any of them. So if you want Mech Pilot, Lloyd, Nia, and Cinder, and you don't want to spend either $70 on Eagle or $120 on the Wolf Mask Shadow Dojo, this is your only way. It is unfortunate that this mech is non-canon to the show, at least so far. It might be in season 2, part 2, but I highly doubt it. I think I think if this was going to be in the show, they probably would have included it. They probably would have included it in the Elemental Mech shorts. But yeah, I thought really appreciate it if you took 2 seconds to like and subscribe. Bye.